Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this year's edition of Crush Your Goals. I'm sure that many of you are out there and you have gone through a process already of determining what your goals are going to be for 2021. Well, this is not a goal setting strategy session. This is not anything that's going to help you to create your goals. We're not going to sit down and come up with your goals today, but today we are going to talk about how can you make sure that you get to accomplish your goals this year in 2021. Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Daniel McCrane. I'm the Chief Growth Strategist with McCrane Associates. I work with small business owners to implement strategies that generate tens of thousands of dollars of revenue and profit without spending extra money on marketing or advertising. So I'm sharing information with you today that I have learned, that I've put together for my clients, and that I have learned from my clients as well, from their failures and successes at goal setting. And what I'm sharing with you today is what I teach all of my clients now of setting their goals and achieving their goals as they move forward. So first things first, let me tell you a little bit about myself and where I'm coming from and why all of this information it has come to me and why this information would be relevant to you. So first of all, let me just say that, obviously I can't share everything about myself with you as we get started here, because of course that would take enough time to bring you up to speed. So I'm just going to summarize a few highlights here. You may have seen in my bio, a lot of times I have been referred to as the Maestro of Business, Des Moines, and that nickname comes because I spent some time teaching high school music. So let me set the stage for this story, if I may. I graduated college way back in 1993. And now at this point, I understand what some of you might be thinking. You might be thinking, way back in 1993, right? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wow, he's a lot older than he looks. Well, so my journey goes through three stages: the call, the fall, and the breakthrough. And yeah, I know it doesn't rhyme, but work with me here a little bit. So I went to college with grand dreams of being a band director. I wanted to make students' lives better, more fulfilling, by teaching them about my most beloved art form, music. Well, I completed my college, got my teaching degree, and found a really nice job in a small rural private school. And I inherited a program of about 70 plus students, give or take. Now, it wasn't anyone's fault at all when I first got there, okay? Let me just say this. But the reality was I could not have been set up for failure any more than I was. I was so full of head knowledge of the entire breadth of music history from beginning to end, and I knew all kinds of things about how to teach music and detailed strategies for teaching music, but I didn't know the first thing about leading a program. I knew nothing about leadership skills such as delegation, recruitment, relationship building, or communication. And the first thing I did as a brand new band director coming into a program was I immediately began to do everything differently than my predecessor, who was well loved by the entire student body. Well, you know how people react to change, and you can imagine what happened. The students bailed. The program participation dropped from more than 70 students to less than half in that first year that I was in charge. It dropped like there was a virulent plague going on, and I was the plague. I was so devastated. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to react. I had no mentorship, no guidance. I didn't know who I should ask for help. I didn't even know that I should ask for help. Well, needless to say, that time of my career working at that school is a point in my career still makes me wince with pain every time I think about it. But boy, did I learn some leadership lessons the hard way. Like I said, I needed a mentor. I needed help. It took me years of study and a few career changes to learn what I finally know now. And if I had had the right assistance when I started, I could have had a better experience. My students could have had a better experience. And I could have achieved my vision of making students' lives better through music. So let me say, if you're watching this video right now, I just want to say to you, it is not a sign of weakness to ask for help. I tell my own kids that all the time when they were growing up. I tell them, you can do anything you want to, even if you have to ask for help. So that's what I find with a lot of clients that I work with. They are willing to say, hey, I need some help. So I've got some things that I do. I'm going to share at the end with you here a little bit about how I help clients. But want to point out to you here is you can see my leadership journey, the journey that I went through, the call, the fall, and the breakthrough. And I'm sure that you've experienced something similar in your own career as well, where you felt pulled to do something in your career, and then you experienced a problem, and then suddenly you found a way through to overcome. And so that's what I want to share with you today. Well, let's talk about, first of all, why don't we achieve goals when we set out to reach our goals? Now, I'm sure that many of you have already created goals. You've got your goals set for the entire year, and you've got high hopes for how you're going to achieve them. What I want to share with you today and work on a little today, we might work on this a little bit together as we go through. I want to share with you some reasons why people don't achieve their goals. Some rules. They don't take into account that there's a possibility they could fail in their goal. And so when failure does present itself, then they don't have a way to react and to turn that around. It's also important to know how you deal with failure when things don't go your way. Are you the kind of person who can you just shrug it off like water ducks back, so to speak, and you just pick yourself up and you just go right after that goal again? Are you that kind of a person? Or are you the kind of person who, if you do fail at a goal, it just really gets to you? It drags you down, and you stew on it for weeks or for months. You just feel like you're sitting in the mud puddle and you're just throwing mud all over yourself, and this is horrible. I didn't make it. I failed. I'm such a failure. I've always been a failure. I'll never amount to anything. Are you kind of a person? Or are you the kind of person who gets angry when you are confronted with failure, when things don't work out? So you need to know how you deal with failure when it comes up. Because let's face it, we're all human beings, and failure is going to be part of our daily lives. So the first step in achieving your goals and crushing your goals is to plan what will you do if things don't go your way. You need to know how you react, and you need to find ways to change your mindset, shift your perspective, choose a different paradigm, get over that failure, learn from it, of course, just like I did when I was teaching. Learn from that failure, and then figure out what life lessons you can apply to life going forward. So that's part of what you need to do to crush your goals this year, is plan what you will do when things don't work out. And I even want you to write it down if you need to. If you're the kind of person who does not easily recover from failure, I want you to come up with a plan for how you will handle failure if it happens. And then I want you to plan what you will do differently when failure does come up. And by the way, I am sharing this from complete experience. This is what I have had to teach myself how to do. I'm not going to claim that I'm an expert on it yet. I'm not going to claim that I am 100% over it and I've got the absolute best approach to dealing with failure. It's something I'm still working on too. And so if you're that kind of a person, I want to say there is hope for you. Come up with that plan if you're going to deal with failure. All right, let's talk about the next reason why people don't achieve their goal. And this is when they just think to themselves, if they're just thinking about what their goals are. So if all you do is just wish and you hope that this goal is going to happen, that's one reason why your goals might fail. If you are, this is kind of rage right now. If you are just, I'm going to manifest my goals, I'm just going to set my intention, and the universe is just going to wham me with my heart's content, with everything that I want. I've got news for you there too. If you don't match up that intention with action, nothing is going to happen. And I'm sorry, folks, but if you are the kind of person who is in love with, say, that movie, The Secret, The Secret is all about thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, and nowhere do they talk about doing. So it takes both. So if you are just wishing and hoping and manifesting and visualizing what your goals are going to be, but you don't take action, I've got news for you. You are not going to achieve your goals. The next thing is, what is that difference then between setting an intention and coming up with a goal? Now, the first thing is, it's taking the time to write it down. Write down what your goal is and then put it right in front of your face. And you can't see my desk right now, but right here behind my camera, I have my goals written down. They're right in front of me. I can see my goals when I sit here and I do my work. I'm not just wishing and thinking and visualizing what my goals are going to be. I'm looking at them. Now, those goals, I'm going to talk about how to write a goal in a moment, but having those goals written down and then matching those goals up with my action steps is what will help me to achieve my goals. And that's the difference between merely having an intention and actually writing down your goals. There's a little bit of a joke that goes like this, that says 3 frogs are sitting on a log and one decides to jump off. How many frogs are still sitting on the log? And the answer is 3. Because deciding to do something is not the same as doing it. So that's the difference between setting an intention and setting a goal. The goal is in writing, it's matched with action, and you are going to achieve it. You'll get it done. Now, maybe some of you have heard this before, that there was a study done of Harvard graduates, and the study goes along the lines of a certain percentage of them wrote down their goals out of 100, like 4%, 4 out of 100 or something like that. And then at the end of 10 years or 20 years, whatever this study says, that only those 4 achieved their life goals. Well, the reality is that's an urban myth. There actually was no such study. However, it's a great illustration, and it does drive the point home. If you want to achieve great things in your life or in this year on your job where you're setting your goals, maybe it's to lose weight, maybe it's to increase your income, maybe it's to finally clean out the basement and get rid of all the junk, whatever it is, put it in writing. And there are some reasons I'm going to say to you from a teacher's perspective. I really geek out on how the brain takes in information, retains information, and recalls information. And what I can tell you is, when you go through the action of writing something down, you are thinking it, you are doing it through writing it, and you are seeing it. And if you would speak it out loud while you're writing it down, now you are getting so much repetition of the goal. This is why when you make notes, it's actually better to write because now you've got kinesthetic action that's going on. All of these things together help to cement that information in your brain, and that includes your goals. Write down your goals to help cement them in your brain so that they stay top of mind. Additionally, all of these things end up coming into your brain and making their way to your subconscious. And your subconscious part of your brain is a master at coming up with incredibly creative ways to achieve your goals when you learn how to tap into your subconscious and train your subconscious to help you. Merely thinking about things does not trigger your subconscious to go into action. But when it comes out of you, speaking through seeing, and then it comes back into your subconscious brain, that's what triggers your subconscious brain to go to work. So I've spent a lot of time on this already. If I haven't said it enough, write down your goals. This is so important. Now, another reason why goals fail is because the goal doesn't deal with yourself or your ego, and it doesn't deal with self-protective behaviors. So let's say something along the lines of, let's say something's a little bit uncomfortable. Let's say you're going to increase your exercise this coming year. And you're going to do that by getting out of bed an hour, let's push it. Let's say an hour and a half early. Okay, so what do you think is the likelihood that you'll wake up an hour and a half early every morning to do your exercise? There's some self-protective behavior that's going to come into play, isn't there? Because if you're like me, don't you value your sleep just as much as the next person? So that self-protective behavior is going to come into play, and it could hinder you from achieving that goal. Let's take another goal. I am going to secure that promotion. I'm going to move up in the company. Well, if you are the kind of person who's not outgoing, you're not outspoken, you have trouble waking up and doing things and taking action and being in the scrutiny wherever you're working, don't you think some self-protective behaviors might come up that would get in your way, that would stop you from achieving that goal of getting promoted this year? So plan for those things too. Plan for your ego getting in the way, and plan for those self-protective behaviors from getting in the way and stopping you from achieving your goal. All right, let's talk about another reason why sometimes goals fail. Sometimes goal setting can focus on the wrong things. You may have the wrong items set up in your goal, and that can lead to extreme behavior. So let me use an example from, this is now a few years old, but some of you probably remember there was a huge fiasco several years ago with the Veterans Administration hospitals around the country. And the fiasco occurred, patients were being removed from the list to see a doctor, and so many patients were falling through the cracks and get to see a doctor. Well, the goal, someone somewhere had great intentions when they wrote this goal. They wrote a goal that patients would get to see a doctor within a certain period of time. And I don't remember now the details, whatever it was. Let's say 30 days, okay? A patient to see a doctor within 30 days. If they get to see the doctor in 30 days, there would be financial incentives. If they did not see the doctor within that time frame, there would be financial penalties. So somewhere, someone or several someones decided patients are not seeing the doctor within the prescribed time frame that they're supposed to. And so rather than work on a process and fix the process, instead what they did was they removed people from the list who were in violation or approaching violation of whatever that time frame was. So if your goal is not written correctly, or if it focuses on the wrong things, that can lead to extremes in behavior which actually are counterproductive to the goal. So one thing you will want to do as a result of watching this session today is pull out your goals and figure out, what are you trying to achieve? What is the end result of your goal? And could that end result drive some inappropriate behaviors, maybe in yourself, maybe in your team? So just watch that very carefully. That's something to know about. Now, here's another thing that it drives me nuts whenever I see this, and this is matching up goal setting with performance management. I would say, if you're a manager out there, if you're a leader out there, please don't be very careful about putting goals and performance management together. Goal setting is a measurement tool for, did we get things done? It's not a tool to use for continuous growth and continuous progress, which is supposed to be what performance management is about when you have those performance conversations. Hopefully you're not doing it just at one time at the end. Hopefully you're doing that repeatedly throughout the year. But let me tell you, meeting the goal means that we met the goal. And that has nothing to do with, is this team member becoming a better, more valuable team member? Are they growing and developing and practicing skills, new people skills, and things like that? And then also, just because we met the goal, does that mean that we succeed? And so often I see people who have goal setting and goal meeting as the end all be all for performance management and for measuring success. And so please open yourself to the possibility that success could come in other ways too. For example, the year that we've just been through, where none of us had any control over what happened in the economy or happened to our industries, we basically all had to throw our goals out the window and come up with new ones. Does that mean we failed? Maybe not. Maybe we just substituted goals, but we found other ways of succeeding instead. Another reason people fail is they underestimate the amount of effort that it's going to take to get something done. So someone might set a goal that they think can be accomplished in the first quarter, and they don't realize that it's going to take a little bit more of a ramp-up period to get ready for that, to get started. So just be careful about underestimating the amount of effort. And I'm not going to say that it's better to make an error in judgment the other way, to overestimate effort, so that way you would achieve your goal faster. That comes with its own set of problems. But what I am suggesting to you is that you do some due diligence on the amount of effort that it's going to take to accomplish that goal. And now here's another, this is probably the biggest reason that I see goals fail. And that's not translating the goal to the critical daily behavior that it takes to meet that goal. So when you set that goal for, I'm going to increase my revenue by this many dollars or this much percent by the end of the year, well, that's a great goal to set. But how are you going to make that done? How will you get there? And it's not enough to work backwards and say, okay, well, that means I need to increase by this much each quarter, or this much each month, or this much each week. Those are some great milestones to let you know if you're on track. But setting those kind of milestones is not going to help you achieve the goal. You need to come down to, what are the actionable, daily, critical tasks and behaviors that I have to do every single day in order to meet my goal. So if my goal is to lose weight, I want to lose some weight, what are some critical behaviors? Well, I need to watch what I'm going to eat. And actually, I would break that down into, what is my diet going to look like? And I'm not saying go on a diet. If you want to do that, that's fine. But Am I going to count calories? Am I going to count carbs? I mean, there's so many different types of out there, but what are those actionable behaviors every day? So watching what I'm going to eat. I'm going to increase the amount of water that I drink because that's going to make me feel full. I won't snack instead. I'm going to work on my exercise, but be specific. What kind of exercise? How long? What time of day? So those are the critical actionable behaviors that you need to make sure that you work into your plan to meet your goals. Those are some reasons that goals can fail and why we don't achieve our goals. Now, goal setting can have some negative effects too. Goal setting can cause a narrow focus. For entrepreneurs especially, goal setting may not be holistic enough for your entire business. If your goal is to increase your revenue, then you run the risk perhaps of locking yourself into the current way that you generate revenue inside your business. You might not open yourself up to other avenues of producing revenue in your business. So think about that. Goal setting can cause unethical behavior. Just talked about that a little bit ago. Goal setting can get in the way of doing other that you need to do sometimes. Sometimes those administrative tasks or other things that may be going on. So just be cautious of that too, or it could work the other way around. So goal setting can cause distorted preferences. And maybe what that means is you end up doing the work that it takes to achieve the goal to the exclusion of everything else that needs to be done. And maybe you forget to pay attention to your employees, pay attention to your customers, or pay attention to your family. So watch out for things like that. Goal setting sometimes could also lead to a corrosive culture. So be cautious about this too. If you are giving instructions or setting goals for your team, then be careful that for your team, in order to achieve their goals, that it doesn't put them in a position where someone else has to lose so this team member can win and meet their goal. So just being cautious about that as well. And another thing to watch out for that you want to be cautious of is that goal setting can reduce intrinsic motivation. Now, by intrinsic, I mean, if I want to achieve something, let's say that I'm the kind of person who really enjoys going out and exercising. I like to use exercise as a way to reduce my weight. So let's say that I'm that kind of a person. And let's say that I love running. Now, I don't, but let's say that I do. So my intrinsic motivation is I love to run. I love to get out. I like to be outdoors. I love to run. It's time to myself. But if I set a goal to go out and run so many minutes per day or run so far each day, something like that, then there's a possibility that now I've taken what used to be intrinsic, I used to be self-motivated, and now I've moved that motivation outside myself. Does that make sense? So let's say that you give an employee a goal, and your employee is supposed to make contact with 10 potential customers every day. And when they do, then they get some kind of a reward. What you have just done is you've moved that motivation outside of that employee, and now you have potentially reduced their level of motivation. So just watch out for that. So there are lots and lots of reasons right there why we don't achieve our goals. So I want to bring that up first. As we go forward, then we'll talk about how can we make our goals better. So let's talk about this. You're all familiar with SMART goals. And so this is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. And yes, there are some other words that you can use in there too. is it realistic? Is it rational? Something like that. But anyway, you get the idea. A lot of people have heard of SMART goals. Well, SMART goals really can only take you so far, and SMART goals really don't take into account all of the things that I just shared about why goals fail sometimes. So I ran across this once upon a time, and let me go ahead and paste this website into the comments here. So I'm going to share this website with you because I ran across this method of setting your goals, which is SMARTer. And feel free to go to the website sometime and check it out. So the SMARTer goal takes everything that I just mentioned about SMART, but it adds 2 other things at the end. It includes things that have to be overcome in order to achieve your goals. And those are the E, which is existing habit, and the R, which is routine. Now, those 2 things together right there, I said that's the self, that's the ego, that's all those other things that can get in the way. You have to overcome obstacles and roadblocks that come up in order to achieve your goals. And frankly, again, honestly, let me be transparent with you. A lot of times, the reasons we don't achieve our goals is the person who set the goal, the person who's trying to achieve the goal. So if you have an existing habit of, I don't know, I like to have dessert every night with dinner, that might not help you try to lose weight. That dessert for dinner every night could run against your goal of trying to lose weight, but that's an existing habit that you currently have. That's a routine that you have that you will have to overcome. So you'll have to find ways to, I'm not saying kill the habit or kill the routine, because if you've ever tried to break a habit, that's next to impossible. Instead, replace it. Replace that existing habit or replace that existing routine with something else that would be more beneficial to trying to achieve your goal. All right, here's another thing you can do to make your goals work just a little bit better. That is, write your goals in past tense. So don't just say something like a SMART goal would be, we will increase the revenue of our company by 10% by the end of the year. So there's a future focused goal that we want to increase the revenue by the end of the year. Write it in past tense. So this would be something along the lines of, by December 31st of this year, we have already increased our revenue by 10%. So that's putting it in past tense. Now, this is a way of getting your subconscious brain involved in achieving your goals. Speak it out loud in past tense. Your subconscious doesn't know time, doesn't understand time. So when your subconscious hears, oh, we've already done that, well, then your subconscious goes to work getting creative, coming up with ways to get that done. Basically, filling the gap. So that's one way to make it easier to achieve your goals. Write your goals in past tense. Now, another thing you want to do is plan for hurdles and obstacles that will come up as you're trying to achieve your goals. Of course, there will be hurdles and obstacles. So go ahead and come up with a plan. How will you deal with them? What could possibly be a hurdle or an obstacle as you try to achieve this goal? And what are you going to do about it when it shows up? Now, another thing that you can do is determine some triggers to help you achieve your goal. And by triggers, I mean, what are some things, some visual cues or some schedule cues? What are some things that you can do to remind yourself to work on your goal? So let's take an example again. You wake up in the morning and you're going to go exercise. before you begin your day? Well, what if you put your running shoes and your exercise clothes right beside the bed when you go to bed at night? So that way, when the alarm goes off, you swing out of bed, you put your feet on the floor, and your feet hit your exercise clothes. That would be a trigger to remind yourself, oh yeah, I'm supposed to go exercise now. So come up with some triggers like that. That will help you to achieve your goals. So things then that can definitely help you as you are working on achieving your goals. Developing this whole habit of gratitude, being grateful for things. So don't have an attitude of, I don't have what I want, and that's why I'm setting this goal. And so you've just kind of got an attitude about not having what it is that you're trying to achieve. Instead, try to be grateful for what you do currently have, and be grateful for the process that you are going through in order to achieve your goal. So just change your frame of reference. So I'm getting into some psychology things here now about achieving your goals, because what I've learned about working with my clients is 90% of your success is really all up here. It's about getting over yourself. You already know how to achieve the goal, but you've got some personal roadblocks that you have to get over. And I do too. Okay, I'll call myself out too. I do too. This is what I've noticed about myself and about my clients that I work with. And so being grateful for where you currently are and the process that you are going through is one way that you can change your frame of reference, and it will make it much easier for you to achieve your goals. All right, and I just realized here I hadn't added some other things there. So let me get these up on the screen here too. All right, so next we've got the subconscious and habits. And so this is kind of what I've been talking about with the subconscious. Take small steps every day. All right, it takes, we know, 21 days of repetition to build a new habit. Even if all you do is just change a habit that you currently have, because it is so hard to break a habit, but just gradually do things a little bit different every day, and that can build up those new habits in the subconscious. Another thing you can do is plan short bursts. And this comes out of the book Traction. Many of you are familiar with the entrepreneurial system and the book Traction by Gino Wickman. Well, we know that adults can only focus on things for a certain period of time. And this is the whole point of the book Traction, is we are only able to sustain our focus on a goal for 90 days. So set your goals in 90-day increments, figure out those critical behaviors to move forward month to month to month in those 90 days, week to week to week within each of those months. And then at the end of 90 days, sit down, have an evaluation session with yourself and determine, how successful was I during these 90 days? But the whole point is these 90 days should be leading up toward your annual goal. The next thing is learning goals versus performance goals. So keep this in mind too. Sometimes you might want to learn something, and you'll set a goal for yourself to learn new skills, to learn new things. And what I want you to do here is be very cautious about the way that you set your learning goal. Learning goals mean that you're acquiring new skills. Knowledge is a completely different thing. You can memorize stuff and you can get that done in a matter of hours. But learning new skills means you have to have practice. And sometimes to get practice, you need to have opportunity. Depending on the skills you're trying to learn, opportunity may be few and far between. So be lenient with yourself when you are taking on those learning skills, learning goals versus other types of performance goals. I just want to mention that too. And then also I just mentioned that you want to allow time to practice those skills. All right, so here's what we're going to do now. I'm going to give you a few minutes, and I want you to take a look at your goals. I want you to think about your goals. If you've got some there, if you've got those handy, I want you to look at this list, and I want you to see where you can rewrite your goals to make them be more effective this year. And I'll give you a few minutes while we do this. All right. If you're watching this video later and you're going through this exercise, you can certainly pause the video and you could take a look at your comments and your goals there. I'm going to go ahead and move forward though. So can I just tell you a little bit more about setting goals? Something really important here. You see, you can know all of this information about setting goals, and yet you can still fail. So can I tell you something about how I help my clients while I teach you a little bit more about setting goals, something even more important than what we've talked about already? Well, I'm recording this right now, so if you're watching this, I'm going to go ahead and move forward anyway. I'm going to assume that I have your permission. So let me just share, first of all, here are just some of the clients that I have worked with. And so I've had the opportunity to talk about goal setting with some of these clients. So here's the important thing. To achieve your goals, this is the most important thing that it takes to achieve your goals. It's accountability. It's coaching. It's feedback, and it's progress. Who are you accountable to about achieving your goals? If there's no accountability, if there's no consequence on the line, then, human nature says you most likely are not going to follow through to achieve your goals. Accountability is so critical to achieving your goals. And getting coaching from someone else, someone who can observe what you're doing and can make some suggestions for you through feedback, having that coaching session or that coaching feedback can be so helpful when you do encounter periods of frustration, when you do hit those hurdles or those obstacles. Someone with an outside perspective who can look in at what you're trying to achieve can give you a perspective and can give you feedback that you need. And that outside perspective can help someone to help you figure out how maybe you could get around this obstacle and still be able to achieve your goal. So that is so critical to being able to achieve your goal. And then on a regular basis, here's a cycle that I have borrowed from the manufacturing or from the engineering industry, and it's plan, do, check, adjust. So you come up with your plan, which is your goals. You do your plan, you work it on a regular basis. Then periodically, also regularly though, you check in on your goals to see how well you're progressing. And if things are drifting a little bit, if you're not on track for your goals, then you adjust. You bring it back on schedule, or you make some adjustments to the plan from the very get-go. And then you work that plan again. And this just becomes a cycle to help you to achieve your goals. Well, I hope that all of this information has been very helpful for you as you are trying to figure out how you can crush your goals this year. I do have just one final thing that I want to share with you today. If there's any way that I could be of service to you to help you achieve your goals and help you crush your goals, then I would definitely like to do that. And so let me post another link here for you. I want to share this information with you. If I don't want to leave you hanging, this is the important here. So I want to make this offer to you that if you would to have a short conversation about how you can rewrite your goals based on what we talked about today, I want to make sure that I can support you. So I'm making this offer. Feel free if you want to use that link that just showed up there in the comments. If you want to schedule a few minutes with me, I don't want to just leave you out there without any resources. So I do want to support you. I can only make this offer available, of course, a period of time. I do have other clients that I work with on a regular basis. So I do want to offer to you, though, that if you do want to speak with me, we can have just a 15-minute conversation, and we should be able to get quite a bit accomplished during that 15 minutes. So there's an option for you. I do want to let you know about that. And then finally, as we begin to wrap up here, I do want to share a little bit more with you about the type of work that I do with business owners. So if you have some goals for your small business this year to achieve more, to do better, then this is the time. I'll share with you right now. I'm going to share a short video about how I help small business owners. And if you're not interested in hearing about that at all, then this is a time when you can tune out. Otherwise, you know how to reach out to me. And with that, everyone, I just want to say I wish you a great day. Wish you great luck achieving your goals and to your success.
I want to provide you with a brief overview of our revolutionary new business assessment software, specifically developed to seek out and identify massive financial breakthroughs in multiple areas within your business. Before we get started, I'd like to explain why we created this software. We work with a lot of business owners around the world, and it seems they all have the same initial goal in mind. They want to build their business quickly and hit that magic $1 million mark. Listen, we get it. We had the same goal when we started out, but as we work with more and more business owners, and what you do every day is generate 80% of your total annual revenue. In other words,
All right. Well, you know what? It appears that video is actually not advancing as the audio is playing. So I tell you what, I am just going to go ahead and pop that URL in the comments as well. And if you are interested in watching that video, feel free to just visit that URL, that website there, and you can take a look at that video. So with that, I am going to go ahead and wrap up today's session. This has been on Crush Your Goals, and I hope that this has been a useful session for you in planning the rest of your year. So with that, everyone, I will see you in the next video, and until then, to your success.